There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayahs, very explicit ayahs on jihad, on war, and on killing in the Quran. Now, why are these 5 ayahs important? These 5 ayahs are important because the people who try to scare people away from Islam, the people who are in that business of trying to make sure that the growth of Islam slows down and the hatred of Islam piles on, they use these 5 ayahs over and over and over. So it would behoove every Muslim to be educated and to know what these 5 ayahs are. Now, the first ayah, وَقْتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ. Slay them, kill them wherever you find them. So this is the first verse that these folks love to cite. Quite simply, and we'll read the verse before it and we'll read the verse after it. All of these verses, as a summary, refer to wartime, in the war, okay? Not civilians walking around and seeing a pagan, so let me just follow the Quran and kill him. We're not talking about whether Islam has offensive wars and defensive wars. We affirm that Islam does endorse a concept of expansion for the sake of spreading the religion. If it's solely for the sake of gaining wealth, then you don't get the reward. You don't get the reward of jihad. You don't get the reward from Allah of martyrdom if it's just for the sake of gaining wealth. And in that it may be done lawfully, it may be done unlawfully. So that's a different discussion. So point being is that is not what we're discussing. What we're discussing is vigilante killing. And this is what these folks are trying to make you believe, that Islam is for promoting this vigilante murder. So what we're going to prove just by the verses itself is that no, these are all referring to verses in the state of war. And this is what we call a dialectic. A dialectic is the concept of arguing something based upon agreed premises. Whether or not those agreed premises are real or not doesn't make a difference. Okay. Slay those, وَاقْتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ وَأَخْرِجُوهُمْ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَخْرَجُوكُمْ. Slay them wherever you see them. Remove them from wherever they removed you. Persecuting others to commit idolatry is worse than killing. But fight them not in the sacred mosque until they fight you in it. All right, what's the next ayah? But if they cease their idolatry and aggression, فَإِنِ انتهوا, if they cease their idolatry and their aggression, because it says if they stop what? If they stop their idolatry and their aggression. Okay, because who is this talking about? All the pagans who had agreed to fight the Muslims, remove them from Medina, kill them all at the Battle of Khandaq. Remember this, okay? Who came? The whole Arabian, almost. A lot of the tribes of Arabia, okay? Of course, there were 3 major ones, but many. So this is in a state of war. So if they cease, then you cease. Fight against them until there is no more persecution. So this is in the state of the final war between Islam and the pagans of Arabia. Let's see what some commentators said here. Al-Kisai says this was specifically about the Quraysh who used to torture the Muslims. Ibn Abbas says the ayah before it states, we're talking about the Prophet's وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. The ayah right before it clarifies what this encouragement to fighting is for. For whom is it? For whom is it? It is for وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ. Fight in the cause of Allah those who fought you, those who were attacking you. Inna Allah la yuhibbul mu'tadin. For Allah does not love those who transgress. That means the one who started it. Allah does not love the one who started it. Fight those who fought you. So that's the first one. Let's now move to the second one. Surah number 8, ayah number 60. And it says here, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِن رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. وَمِن رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. You shouldn't roll your R's in tajweed. You don't say وَمِن رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. No. وَمِن رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ وَآخَرِينَ مِن دُونِهِمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَهُمْ اللَّهُ يَعْلَمُهُمْ. And ready against them all the fighting power you can, and throngs of tethered horse, to strike dread into the hearts of Allah's enemies and yours, and others besides them, at enmity whom you realize not. Meaning, when you fight another nation and your army's on display, those people who are thinking about attacking you would stop. So what do they use about this? To say about this? They say, look, the Muslims are all about this. Just go and fight every kafir. So what does the next ayah say? The next ayah says, وَإِن جَنَحُوا لِلسَّلْمِ فَاجْنَحْ لَهَا وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. However, if they incline towards peace, then you also incline towards it. Meaning, this enemy that you're fighting, the moment they say, no, we're at peace, in that case, if you trust them, then you also make peace with them. And rely upon Allah, because you never know if they could be lying or not. Rely upon Allah. He's all seeing and all hearing. What else do we have on this ayah? This ayah is, again, specifically pertaining to the Quraysh that drove out the Muslims out of their homes, and all those who do the same thing. All those who do the same thing. They remove you from your homes. They seek to kill you. There is also a commentary on this related to it. The previous few ayahs, ayah 26, states and tells us, وَاذْكُرُوا إِذْ أَنْتُمْ قَلِيلٌ مُسْتَضْعَفُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Remember when you were a few people, weak in the land. تَخَافُونَ أَنْ يَتَخَطَّفَكُمُ النَّاسِ. You're afraid that people could pounce on you and kill you at any time, kidnap you. فَآوَاكُمْ. But Allah gave you safety in Medina. وَأَيَّدَكُمْ بِنَصْرِهِ. He helped you win battles, etc. Get strong. وَرَزَقَكُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. And then you had spoils of war and you became wealthy, so that you may be grateful. So this is all about a time when Muslims are the ones who are attacked, or that they fear their neighbor is about to attack them. We believe that that's also a legitimate war. Number 3 is Surah number 9. فَإِذَا انْسَلَخَ الْأَشْهُرُ الْحُرُمُ. If the sacred months are over, فَاقْتُلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَيْثُ وَجَدتُّمُوهُمْ وَخُذُوهُمْ وَاحْصُرُوهُمْ وَقَعُودُوا لَهُمْ كُلَّ مَرْصَدٍ فَإِنْ تَابُوا أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُا الزَّكَاةَ فَخَلُّوا سَبِيلَهُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. This ayah is always quoted when the sacred months come to an end. Slay the idolaters wherever you find them, seize them, besiege them, and sit at wait for them at every ambush. But if they repent, then let them go their way. So what is the tafsir to? What is this referring to? Okay, well, why don't we read the next, when we continue reading? What it refers to is, all right, will you not wage battle against a people who have repeatedly broken their oaths and were about to drive out the messenger, and it was they who first committed violence and broke faith with you? Can you actually fear them? Do you actually fear them? Allah is better for you to fear. So who are they waging war against? They're waging war against a people who drove you out of your house, broke all their promises and their oaths, and they're the ones who started it. Or it didn't initiate anything. The Prophet, and everyone testifies, Muslim, Kafir, Yahudi, Munafiq, will testify. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not the one, did not pick one fight in the city of Mecca when he was there. Everybody must testify the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was driven out of his home. The companions were driven out of their homes. Then they went to recoup what was rightfully theirs. All their wealth was taken from them. Al-Baydawi states they had the Sulh of Hudaybiyah. Al-Alusi states the same thing. The Sulh of Hudaybiyah is what they're referencing in ayah number 13 here. They broke all the oaths. They're the one who started this war, and you're going to finish it. Make sure to finish this. Do not trust a single one of them. So again, what is the thesis here? The thesis is not the discussion of is there offensive jihad or only defensive? No, there is offensive, okay? But this is not the discussion. The discussion is, are these verses calling to vigilante violence for every Muslim to go around doing this, or is it telling you, how to behave in war, which we don't need to actually defend that. Every society that knows anything about law and order will have a doctrine on war. You name one ideology that doesn't say to itself, you know what, we got to spread this to the whole world.
So yeah, liberals aren't going out and waging jihad and going into countries. I mean, arguably they are, but for example, like sanctions, right? Sanctions, you kill
war.
Women, children. So many innocent people die because they disagree with your ideology.
Exactly.
So they're not bowing to your values, and so you're putting sanctions.
You sanction them, yeah.
And how is that any different from jihad? Right. I mean, if anything, it's worse because you're killing innocent people.
If someone says Islam was spread by the sword, liberalism was spread by the bomb. Exactly. Right. The amount of people that were slain and killed in Iraq, the first time around, second time around, the entire Cold War, and it was fought on how many different continents? Because the Cold War was fought, in proxy, in Vietnam, etc. All right, let's go to the next ayah, number 29. What does it say? قاتلوا الذين لا يؤمنون بالله. Fight those who don't believe in Allah and the day and the last day. So this is a description, a specific description or a general description for a specific set of people. ولا يحرمون ما حرم الله ورسوله ولا يدينون دين الحق من الذين أوتوا الكتاب حتى يعطوا الجزية عن يد وهم صاغرون. So this ayah, fight until they pay the jizya. So what is this about exactly? This is regarding the Byzantines, whom the Prophet ﷺ sent a letter. To whom the Prophet sent a letter. He sent a letter to the Byzantine powers up north. He sent an ambassador. When you send an ambassador, are you intending war or are you intending dialogue? Right? He sent an ambassador. What did the Byzantines say? Okay, this is the tafsir of Mujahid. What did the Byzantine Empire do? They killed the emissary. They killed the Prophet's ambassador. Now tell me, in any nation, when you kill the ambassador, is that not an act of war or not? 100% in every nation. If that country goes into the embassy and fires away at the ambassador, it's an act of war. So this ayah is specific to them and everybody who does like what they do. Now, could it be that this is also an ayah generally about expansion? Yes, it could be. Yes, you can read it that way. If that's the case, then that expansion, it has criterion and it has specific specifications and it has rules. Again, the thesis here is that all of these 5 verses pertain to what's known in some legal theory as just war. Just, as in fair. Meaning, if you announce it, meaning that there's a reason behind it, meaning that it's only with the other opposing nation's army. A war that is supported by a moral or legal tradition. That there are legitimate uses of war and there are moral boundaries in waging war. And it's just a general concept here amongst people that, okay, there's going to be war, but there has to be some kind of basis. There has to be some kind of legal proceedings when we go about this conflict.
It's so ironic also hearing the people that support like the U.S. and manifest destiny and imperialism, and then they go and
they did total war on the Native Americans, right?
And then what was their justification?
Nothing.
It was manifest destiny. It's our destiny.
Our belief.
Right? Okay, it's our destiny too. Like, when Muslims
that's true.
Expand.
So anyone could say it's my destiny then, if that's the case. So you understand what they're saying here is that all of this was specifically, the ayah was, this verse, 9:29, is specifically about the Byzantines who killed the Muslim ambassador. Okay? That's an act of war. Number 2, could it be general? Yes, it could be general, but in that case, it's going to have parameters. There are parameters in how warfare occurs in Islam. All right, last one, ayah number 40, surah number 47, which is Surah Muhammad, and ayah number 4. فَإِذَا لَقِيتُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَضَرْبَ الرِّقَابِ. If you find those who disbelieved, again, a general description, meaning referring to a specific people. All right, smite their necks for the death blow. Until when you have devastated them, bind fast the bonds and either release them afterwards out of pure favor or take ransom until the war lays down its burdensome plate and arms. Even thus, while Allah had willed, He had taken vengeance on them Himself. So, what is the tafsir of this? This verse is talking about those that you meet in battle who are attacking you. Says who? At-Tabari. And what's the proof of it? Until the war lays down its burdens. So why is the Quran, a holy book, saying if you meet the enemy, when it says kafir, it means here the specific kuffar, enemies, that are fighting against you in a battle, not just even a general war. Now we're talking about a battle here. A war is a prolonged conflict, and the battle is the specific skirmish or fight. So he says here, go for the necks, and another surah, it says go for the limbs. Why? This is the fastest death. Given that you're fighting with swords, it's the fastest death. Let them bleed out heavily, right, so that they die quickly. It's actually a mercy. But point being here, to prove the thesis that we're making here, doesn't even require proofs except reading the rest of the verse. That's literally all it is that none of these verses are promoting vigilante operations. I can't go and make a Safina militia and say we're going to go and enact and practice and act upon these 5 verses. That would not be allowed. Okay?